Okay, hello everyone. I would like to call this meeting, Tuesday, March 27th, of the Fargo Board of Education to order at 5:30 p.m. Could I please have approval for the agenda, please? A motion for approval.
So moved.
And is there a second? Second. That's great. Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye, please. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Our agenda is approved. We are going to move right on. We have some student performers here this evening. It's very wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And Denise Odegaard is going to introduce our students and give a little explanation in regard to our Music in the Schools, Music in Our Schools month. Please, thank you. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you very much. As she said, we're celebrating Music in Our Schools month. It's almost over, but we celebrate all the time with music, so we'll just keep going with that. Today, I'm going to talk a little later about our artistic processes that we use in the classroom, and this is a great demonstration today of those artistic processes: creating, performing, responding. And we have a student here, Jeffrey Liu, who's composed Trio Sonata number 6 in A major, and they're going to play one movement or one part of it. And we have two other students from North High joining him. We have Philip Dowdell right here on violin, and Tate Fisher on cello. And I'd like to recognize their teacher also, Greg Schultz, in the back here. And Jeffrey would like to just talk a little bit about the composition that he wrote. So take a chair here.
This last movement of the sonata is called Saltarello, which is an Italian dance, and it comes from the verb saltare, which means to jump. And this dance is characterized by a leaping step and also a fast triplet beat feel. And I kind of got the inspiration from this from the last movement of Mendelssohn's Symphony Number 4, which is also a saltarello, and it's called the Italian Symphony. And also, the summer that I wrote this, I got a wonderful opportunity to actually visit Italy. And yeah, so this will be the saltarello.
Wow, that was so cool. That's awesome. I'm super happy, aren't you guys? So, yeah, who else was leaping and jumping? And Linda, do you have some, I bet you have some comments on this, don't you?
I was wondering if are we gonna be, is Denise gonna walk us through this?
Yes, we will
Yes,
hear a
okay,
little bit more
good.
about that later. Yeah.
Well, before the musicians leave, I just want to say it was a pleasure hearing them again. They performed with the symphony just a couple weeks ago on the side-by-side, and Philip was one of our finalists for the solo competition. So I just want to say, in case you ever wonder about the quality of the music education programs in Fargo Public Schools, what he did with this composition and the time period it was based on and figured bass, continuo and all this stuff, I didn't learn until I was a sophomore music major in college. So this is amazing. So wonderful work, fabulous.
Thank you very much. That was so wonderful. What a great start to our meeting. Okay, we're now going to move on to the recognition of our audience, and we do have one person signed up to speak, and that is Beth Eckery, Mrs. Eckery. And I know you've been at our meetings before, but there's something, a little bit of something that we read before we have people speak. At this time, the board will hear comments from the public. We ask that each speaker who has signed up to address the board state their name and address for the record. We would also like that speakers refrain from using this forum to criticize or complain about a specific employee by name. The board is interested in your comments and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond or debate issues in this forum. Should you desire a written response to a specific question, you may request it. This evening, you will be allotted a maximum of 4 minutes. Hopefully that will work for you.
It'll
Thank
be
you.
perfect.
Welcome.
Yeah. It's just a pleasure to be here. So I am Beth Eckery, and it is with just deep, heartfelt gratitude that I'm here to thank my board. My resignation, I wasn't going to look at you. So I put in my resignation after 26 unbelievable years with this district. And I've had the privilege of teaching some of your children and being your colleagues. And it's been the best run. Oh, I seriously didn't want to cry. I was like super good until I saw you. Okay. And I just want to thank you. I have a team motto and a classroom motto, and it's called We're Better Together. And we remind each other daily that we are better when we work together, when we dialogue together. It doesn't mean we agree. We don't often, but we just work through things and we learn from each other's perspectives. And I just want to thank you as a board that you've modeled that so well. I thank you for giving me an incredible opportunity to do my job well. I know that this kind of a rough road, especially this last year. You probably had teachers that were nasty to you and unkind and impatient and things like that. But I want you to know that that's not always the majority. And I'm speaking for myself, of course, but I know so many colleagues that dedicate their life and time to love our kids in Fargo Public Schools. Over 2,000 students in 26 years. I've had the pleasure of being their teacher. I love the PD that we've been given. So many opportunities our kids are blessed with in this district. Continue to support and fight for that student achievement, which is, of course, first, quality educators in the classroom that care and are compassionate and passionate about their subject, but just love kids like crazy, and that fosters excellence. The year I was in college, my mom gave me a book. I had no idea that I would end up 26 years later, but it was from Guy Dowd. He was Teacher of the Year from Minnesota, and this is the poem that Ronald Reagan read to him in the White House when he accepted his award. Teachers, so thank you for letting me do this job so well. Teachers, you are the molders of their dreams. You are the gods who build or crush their young beliefs of right or wrong. You are the spark that sets aflame the poet's hand or lights the flame of some great singer's song. You are the God of the young, the very young, the guardian of a million dreams, and your every smile or frown can heal or pierce a heart. You are 100 lives, 1,000 lives. Yours is the pride of loving them, and it's the sorrow too. Your patient work, your touch makes you the gods of hope who fill their souls with dreams and make those dreams come true. Thank you for the blessing and privilege of being able to be one of your Fargo Public Schools teachers. It has been beautiful. So I think my time is up, and I'm sick of crying in public. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Eckery. My son was fortunate to have her. I also wanted to mention, we have some Boy Scouts here this evening. Boy Scouts Troop number 214 from North Fargo. They're still in here, right? We have, yeah? Okay, good deal. Thank you for joining us this evening. Hopefully you have a good experience. All right, let's move on to staff reports. FEA report, Laura?
Good evening. Ordinarily, Bill tells me, Laura, you have 32 seconds of battery left. But today he said, could you stretch it out a little? Except for it looks like we're all set up. So no jokes, I'm sorry. The thing I'd like to say tonight, and I'm sure you have carried Anne Marie around on your shoulders and thanked her already for the hard work. Everybody did so much work on the superintendent search. But from an FEA standpoint, I want to thank you for working so hard to make sure you had teachers and staff represented in all sorts of ways. And I think probably there were a few moving parts on that. Thank you.
All right, yes, thank you, Anne Marie. We wouldn't have done it without Anne Marie, that's for sure. We are going to move on to STEAM monitoring, and I know that Dr. Schatz would like to spend a little time on an introduction. Thank you.
Well, as you know, according to our strategic plan and our results, we like to come to you and give you examples of how that's working. And so for strategic initiative number 2 and results, the STEAM monitoring, tonight we feature the arts and humanities, and specifically music and visual arts. Again, reminding you that back when we created our strategic plan, we wanted to make sure that we were very proactive in stating that, you know, there's a place for the humanities and arts to be partnered with the whole our STEM initiatives, and so that's why we ended up with STEAM, and therefore we encourage that cross-curricular type of collaboration. And we know that students who participate in humanities, the arts, and music, and all the other offerings we have are students who really do well, and when they leave us are well prepared to go into the world. So it's my pleasure it'll be my last time, Denise, I get to do this, but I don't know if these folks know that you and I graduated together at Fargo North in the same class. So
They know what they do now.
So when I came back to Fargo 9 years ago, and we had to organize the music program at Davies, I was pretty lucky because Denise at that time was moving into that position that she has now, and was very instrumental in helping me navigate the waters of putting together an incredible music department, and then all the other arts that are associated with the portfolio that she has. And so, and then Jane, I see you out there. So Jane, you came with us to Davies, and I met you at South Campus too. When I first came, and you are an outstanding art teacher, and so thank you for being here tonight. And so with that, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Dr. Schatz. And I do remember sitting behind you. I think it was social studies, long wavy hair.
32.
That's all I saw all year, just from behind, so. It was there. Got to give it back to you, right? I would like to, first of all, thank the school board and people from the past school boards that have dedicated a lot of funding and time and ability for us to carry on the music program as we have over the years. It may have adjusted a little bit, but it's just as strong as when I started probably 36 years ago. So I have Beth I've done a few more years than Beth, so, but thank you very much for that. And it's because of that we can celebrate Music in Our Schools Month each and every month. So I just want to go through what we're doing in the music department with standards. And we have 3 artistic processes. You saw 2 of those tonight being demonstrated. So we have creating, performing, and responding. And Jeff recomposed that piece. He's just an avid composer. I think he's channeling some composers from the past. But if you look in columns, these are our 3 artistic processes: creating, performing, responding, and they're color coded. The processes underneath them are color coded because they're going to be happening in more than one artistic process, and they're all higher level thinking skills, higher order thinking skills. We also have 21st century skills embedded into our standards, and North Dakota now is working on writing the standards for North Dakota. Those are out for the first review now, so people can go to the DPI website and give some public comment on those. All arts, media arts, visual arts, music, theater, and dance. So if you're interested in doing that, that would be great. So you saw creating. Here's a little bit of what his piece looks like in the middle there. And then the steps are imagining, plan and make, evaluate, refine, and present. So as an artist, you come up with some ideas, you put them together in a piece however you want to. You maybe have somebody look at it, give you some feedback, you refine it, you look at it yourself, decide what you want to change, then it's ready to present like today. And the performing part, again, we had the 3 students with 1 substitution in there. The processes for performing are selecting a piece of music to perform, and they want to analyze what's all in that piece of music. They want to interpret what the composer's intent is. And then again, they want to evaluate and refine their performance, and then they're ready to present it. So that all these processes have been gone through up until today. And then you as an audience can think about responding. So he told you what the purpose of the piece was, but as students, we listen to music and we respond to it thinking about what did the composer mean when they wrote that? Or what are you imagining in your head as that piece is composed? If he hadn't told you what it was composed about, would you have come up with that same thing in your head? So those are the kind of questions, again, thinking about things and responding to music. So I really like how our artistic processes are set out. And it's a great way for kids to practice 21st century skills and to think of things in a different way with analyzing and interpreting. So that is all I would like to share for today. And again, another big thank you to everybody for how we've been able to continue even through some tighter budget times, just to continue to have the great quality programs we have. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Or I can go on to visual arts here.
Does anyone have any questions or comments right now? Linda?
Well, thank you as always, but just to toot your horn a little bit, you are in your 2nd year as national president of the Music Teachers Association,
Correct.
and you've traveled all over the country and all over the world. I know you.
With her daughter in India.
Yeah. So that's amazing. So another testament to the quality that we have here in Fargo, and that you're an ambassador and in a leadership role in
And I would
the
have to
country.
say, everything I learned about what I needed to know to be president, I learned here in Fargo Public Schools, either through trainings I had or opportunities, we've had to grow as teachers. It all was used. So that's another great thing to toot your horns for. So, all right, thank you so much.
Dr. Schatz?
Just one other comment. You'll get to see a trio out at the School Boards Association when we go to San Antonio. Myself, Bob, and Denise will be presenting at 1:30 on Saturday, I believe, at the School Boards Association. And so that'll be a whole session that Denise will put together for us. And Bob and I will ride in and be part of that with you.
I'll assign you specific
Yes,
parts.
And, but that's pretty exciting. Fargo Public Schools is presenting at the National School Board Association, which is pretty competitive to get into. So a big goal achieved there. So thanks, Denise, for getting us there.
Thank you very much for letting us share today.
Definitely. Is there something that is going to be shared regarding visual arts this evening? And who would
Yes.
like to introduce that? Dr. Schatz?
So again, tonight we have Jane with us, Jane Peterson, and she's a art teacher over at discovery. And so Jane, I'll turn it over to you, and you can talk a little bit about visual arts. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you for this opportunity. We really appreciate it. I'm really excited to have Brooke Bergen and Mike West, students here that will be showing you their personal work in just a few minutes. And I should say that I graduated from North High too. But I'm not sure if I graduated ahead or behind you. So we just wanted to share a few things that are going on in the visual arts. Every year we have kind of a basic program that we do. Working. Okay. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to start with a few, showing you the courses that we offer. So in each high school, we have clay and sculpture, which is now called 3D design, and then we have drawing and painting and studio 2D design. And then we offer beginning, intermediate, advanced, and advanced placement in each course. And then we also have a basic concepts class this year that we tried for the first time, and it went very well. It was an adaptive art class. And we've decided to offer that every other year because the students, we just want to give them a full variation of different classes that they can take, different electives. So that is it in a nutshell. So that's what happens at school. These are different opportunities that we have outside of the classroom. Every year, well, we have art club, of course, and then every year we take a trip to Minneapolis, and we go with North and South, so all three high schools like to do these trips together, which is really great because it brings a lot of students with like interests together, and they get to know each other. So we usually start our portfolio days trip at the Walker Art Center. In the sculpture garden, and then we usually go to the Walker and then MIA. And at MCAD, they can take portfolios and have different representatives from art schools all across the country look at their portfolios and give them feedback, so it's really a great opportunity. And then we also participate and collaborate with Moorhead State, NDSU, and Concordia. And these are some shots from just this, well, the one on the left is from last year with their regional exhibition at Moorhead State. And then they offer a workshop day to go along with the exhibition. So it's a great opportunity for the students to show their work in a really, state-of-the-art gallery. And then they have over 200 students participate in that day, which is really fun for the kids. A few more shots from different workshops. There's the NDSU wood largest kiln in the upper north that I'm aware of. So it's really fun for them to see that too. We also participate in the Granary Cultural Arts Center exhibition and competition. And it's much like the Moorhead State opportunity where they can submit work and then they are recognized for their hard work through awards, for example, like Best in Printmaking, that kind of thing. So twice, maybe 3 times, Davies has taken home the trophy for all around school effort for in all of those different categories: drawing, painting, sculpture, printmaking, and mixed media. And then, of course, you may have heard of Davies Day, which started as an art exhibition only, and we put up a lot of work in the Commons area, and it's become quite the event. We have a chalk drawing contest as well. The first year that we had 25 groups participating, and then as the years have gone on, it's gradually gotten bigger. Last year, we had 123 groups of students that participated, and now it's a celebration for the whole school. So the whole school is involved in that afternoon, and all of the teachers are on board with different games and music and lots of different things that they can do. And that's open to the public. That's on May 23rd. And just fortunately, the weather's been nice. I remember Dr. Schatz was there one year, and the kids were being a little wimpy about going outside because it was cold. He's like, go for it. And it turned out to be a super nice day. All right, and with that, I'd like to introduce Brooke. Brooke is one of my AP students, and she's going to share her work, and then after that, we'll have Mike.
Hi, I'm gonna move this down. So as Mrs. Peterson said, my name is Brooke Bergen, and I am a senior at Davies. This year, I've gotten the opportunity to be very involved in the arts, both within the school and the community. I am our art club president, and I was a Visual Art Award winner for the Celebration of Women in Their Music, and received 3 honorable mentions for the Scholastic Art and Writing show, which meant that I got to have 3 pieces in the Plains Art Museum for a little over a month. So I'm taking both AP Clay and Sculpture and AP Drawing and Painting this year, and my concentration, so basically the theme that the majority of my work revolves around, is social commentary, which you'll see in the next few slides. So I'm just going to talk about a few of the individual pieces I've created this year. So the one on the left, it's kind of hard to see, but it's about stubbornness. And oftentimes, if someone's being stubborn, you'd call them bullheaded. And the figure on the right in that sculpture is a bull. Once again, can't really see it. But basically, I created this piece to kind of show how stubbornness can almost hold you back from thinking about things from a new perspective or trying new things. And the piece on the left in this slide is about how Puerto Rico, after the hurricane, was left without power or water for months. And I used collage to show the contrast between things we often take for granted. So the left side kind of has skyscrapers and normal roads and everything, and then the right shows the destruction of homes and buildings, and you can see flooded cars and just the devastation that that caused. So that's what that piece is about. And the figure and puzzle on the right is about how oftentimes people, and young people especially, will try and conform to society. So you can see like in the puzzle, there's a lot of faces in the pieces, and the actual figure that's standing up is forming himself to fit the shape of that open piece towards the middle of the puzzle. The piece on the right was one of the 3 that was in the Plains, and that one is about the abuse of power and how if people, especially racist people who are given power, how it prevents minorities from taking steps forward and progressing and getting that equality that they deserve. These are 2 pieces that I created for the breath part of my AP sculpture class. And so your breath are basically just creating pieces to show your technical ability and overall skill. So these don't really have a meaning, they're just sculptures. And finally, this is a mural I did for the walkout that was on March 14th. I helped to organize that within Davies along with a couple other students from my school. And in this mural, you can see the 17 people that were killed in Florida. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time creating this, and it was out there behind us when we were speaking on the 14th. And now, actually I have a couple more things. Art this year, senior year is super stressful. You're trying to figure out what you're gonna do next, everything like that. And I just wanted to say that art has given me an opportunity to put all those negative emotions or that stress that I have into something tangible that someone else can enjoy or even relate to, which has helped me figure things out and cope with things and just have an overall more positive year. And next year, I will be attending NDSU and pursuing a degree in art education along with math. So now I will turn it over to Mike.
I just wanted to see, does anyone have any questions or comments right now? I mean, other than like fabulous, and I'm about ready to cry because some of these are just, they're so, they just provoke emotion so
you.
wonderfully. I'm just amazed. Does anyone have anything else to share? I wanted to ask on the mural, so what is that? Is it like chalk or a pastel or?
So it's a paper background that I mounted cardboard behind so it could stand up. And right away, I drew all the faces in my sketchbook, so like an 11 by 8 size. And then I used, what are those things called? Yeah, I used like the projector, the ones that like, well, like they have a name. They're like the clear sheet that like goes up there. Anyway, I used those to project them bigger. And yeah, so it was up like in the hallway of our art department for about a week, and it's mostly paint on there and marker. So
And where is the mural now?
it's in the art room somewhere. I'm not quite sure.
Nice, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Hi, my name is Mike West, and I'm also senior at Davies. So this year for art, I have the opportunity to have my first 3 classes, art classes, which really brings a nice boost to my day. And AP 2D design, and AP 2D design and the other art classes I'm in, drawing and painting and clay, have a really nice creative environment that allow me to express my creativity in my art. So my concentration is, or the theme I'm doing is screen printing, and I'm doing shoes of people in my life. So a lot of these are my own shoes, but some of them are my friends and at school and in my art classes that also help me be creative. The colors that I use in them are kind of like the moods I have while I'm making the art pieces. So like the one on the right is more pastel colors, and I was kind of like calm and sleepy while I was making it, so kind of calm and sleepy colors, I guess. Yeah, the process for screen printing is elaborate. You start with taking the picture, which can take a while if you want the right position. And then after that, you go into Photoshop so you can make it black and white, and then print that onto paper and then convert it onto transparency, which you use a chemical called photoemulsion that you put in a vacuum box to put onto the screen that you can use the ink to print onto the paper. And these 5 artworks that I've had in this presentation are my favorites that I've done so far. And after high school, I am planning on going on a 2-year mission trip, and then I want to be an art teacher. I don't know where I'm going to go though. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Mike? I wanted to ask you what you like about screen printing, since that's a focus.
My favorite thing about screen printing is how I can kind of get like solid shapes but still have like variations in the color and values, and also that it kind of has like a graffiti-ish feel to it as well.
I did screen printing in art when I was in high school, and I thought it was interesting that you were talking about shoes, because I screen printed a shoe or an old work boot that my dad used to wear, but I had to sketch it first, and then screened it afterwards. And it's still hanging in my bedroom back home. Any rate, brought back some fun memories. So, anyone have anything else? Okay, Dr. Schatz?
I forgot to mention Sharon, you're sitting back there, so hi. Thank you for being here, Sharon. And she's been a leader of our art programs for a long, long time. Helps organize all the things you see in here all the time, and working with all of our art teachers and Bob and Rachel in the curriculum piece. And so, again, a shout out to you too. Thank you for all your great work and leading everything in our district and making it happen. So thank you. Thank you to our 2 students from Davies. You make me proud. Way to go. Thanks.
Yeah, Christy.
I just want to say, Mrs. Peterson, or Miss Peterson, thank you very much. I know with my daughter in AP 3D, we enjoy all the artwork that she brings home. We've got a lot of clay and the photo shoot for all of her portfolio things. So it's been a great experience for her this year and each year. So thank you for what you've done for her.
John.
I did not go through the Fargo Public School District or graduate from here, and I'm incredibly jealous. My schools growing up did not have anything like this, and I have kids in the district now, of course, and even since the time they were in kindergarten, the quality of the art that they were bringing home is incredible. And my daughter is in middle school at Ben Franklin, and she's bringing home these pieces that and every week they're better. I'm really stunned, and it's not just the quality of it that I'm noticing. It's the act of creation that I think is so important, that these kids are learning to make things. And the third piece of that standard that you were sharing with us, the responding, it's activating those critical thinking skills. It's, okay, I'm feeling something. Some of the, Rebecca, you just mentioned, those were making you feel an emotional response. It makes you think, why am I feeling? What am I feeling? How is this triggering this, and why do I respond that way? I think it's so important. I think over the past months we've heard people say you need to teach empathy, you need to teach compassion, and this is doing that. We are doing that here in Fargo Public Schools, and just kudos to everybody. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. You're welcome to stick around for the rest of our meeting if you'd like to, but you also may leave and enjoy the nice sunshiny weather. Or do homework, whatever. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve those items on the consent agenda, please?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as written.
All right, thanks, Dinah. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Jim, are you on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Great, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to our business items on the agenda. The first item is award of bids, Discovery Middle School addition and remodel, memo 999. Excuse me. Okay, and Christy, are you bringing this forward, or?
Either way, we can do it.
Certainly. So we've got on memo number 99, the award of bid. The bids were received on the 20th of the month. And the bid package 1 for this project allows for preparation of the site, and the next phase will be coming at a later date. Administration is recommending proceeding with the base bid for this project totaling $1,223,251.80. Estimated budget for this bid package was $1,654,610. So the recommendation moving forward is to approve the base bid award for Discovery Middle School addition and remodel in the amount of $1,223,251.80 and direct the administration to award contracts to bidders as identified in the attached project budget.
Okay, and I was not listening 100%. Did you say that was a motion, or is this your
Yes,
recommendation?
that's my recommendation
Okay.
and motion.
No, so there's been a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second, and we can have discussion right now, please, if anyone has any questions. John?
So I know we have various pieces going on with this. Could we be reminded of what exactly this bid encompasses?
Do you want to go ahead, Chad?
Okay. What this is the first step, like you said, in the process, and this is to get the things ordered that are needed to do the site work, foundation work, And so this is that first step. And so the reason we're bringing it to you now is that if approved tonight, then those contractors can begin ordering the materials they need and things. You'll see subsequent bids coming to you in probably in another 3 weeks or so. We'll see where that lines up with the next board meeting when those bids come in. And that will be the bids for the rest of the project, so all the other types of contractors that need to happen for that. So this is the first one to just get that foundation work going. And you have a map on the back of the sheet that shows you, again, the entry areas where the commons expansion, the entry area redo, the multi-purpose room in the back, and then that music addition to the front. That's what this is about, and plus the earth moving and the work that needs to be done to the turnabouts and the adding the bus loop and that kind of stuff. So anyways.
Christy, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't.
Okay, does anyone else have questions? David?
I just have one question. I see in at least 2 areas, three areas, Dirt Dynamics won the bid. I'm not familiar. Is that a local company? I've never heard of it.
Jim? I'm wondering if your phone is muted. David, did you get did you get your questions answered? All right. Does anyone else have questions? Linda?
I do. My attention was caught by that as well, in some cases that they're so very much lower than some of the other bids. And my only question is, do we have any experience working with this particular company?
Well, I was going to say, there's always a good reason for Jim Free to show up to a meeting. First of all, everybody likes to see Jim when he comes into the room, but Jim, why don't you step up to the mic and just address for the folks anything you might know about that company. Thank you.
It's a company we have not worked with before, but our construction manager, Mike Johnson, went around and vetted everything, and they're good with their numbers. They feel like they can do that work for that amount and meet our timetable. So, other questions?
Yeah. Does anyone else have questions for Jim, since he's there at the podium? No. Okay. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right. If there aren't any other questions or comments, I'll have Anne Marie call the roll, please.
Benson.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Goldenberg.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Rodenbiker.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes. All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. And Discovery Financing Plan, Memo 100. That comes to us from Jackie and Dr. Schatz. Who'd like to take that?
I'll turn that one over to Jackie, and she can explain to you what the memo's about.
Thank you. We're looking for approval to proceed with the bonding for the Discovery project. I will, with your approval, then look to contact PFM, who does our bonding for us, and we will draft a resolution for you at the next meeting to approve. I would anticipate we would look to bond probably up to 14 million. So we give ourselves a little leeway as the final bids come in. And we had decided, or planning committee did decide to issue one bond, not to break it into 2 series over the years. Some interest cost savings.
Dr. Schatz?
Maybe need to just explain too, originally we came to you and talked about a project of 16 million. We're seeing the bidding climate to be very good. The first bid that you just approved was $500,000 under the estimated cost. And so the project right now we're estimating will be around that 14 million. And so it's not going to be probably at the 16 million that we talked about. So that's good news tonight. So that's why Jackie's talking about a $14 million bonding process rather than 16 million. So if you approve that tonight, again, we'll move forward.
Okay. Anyone else have questions or comments? Jennifer?
I'm just wondering if maybe we should also take this opportunity to remind everyone what sort of Phase 2 encompasses, since we talked about Phase 1. Okay.
Again, Phase 1 is the items that you saw on the map that you have presented before you tonight. Phase 2, once that gets done, and that'll go into the fall, so we'll get the front end done, the commons area out, the multi-purpose room off the physical education area, the music room, and then what'll happen is systematically throughout the school, as the remodeling of the school goes on, that'll be Phase 2. And so in earnest, next summer, that'll really get itself going. And then that'll work its way through the building as Jim will work with the administration there to make sure that we're adjusting a pod for a period of time while they're being remodeled. So a lot of work next summer also, and then into the school year to get that remodeling piece done. So that's really the Phase 2. So it's really, as I explained earlier today to Mr. Springer over here from the forum, is that it's really about a 2-year process at least of getting the whole school kind of remodeled, redone, and do all the things that we want to do. But again, that projected cost for the overall process is about $14 million now, so.
Okay, Jennifer, do you have anything else?
Just one follow-up. Before we make a motion, should we amend this, or maybe it can be, I guess, part of the motion up to? Because there's not a recommended dollar amount on this recommendation.
There's not a motion on the table. If someone wants to, this is just a recommendation, the wording here, so if someone wants to make a motion to that regard, that's fine, and we will able to discuss it after there's a second. So you can decide what you would like to do with that.
I would move that we authorize administration to take all necessary actions for the issuance, sale, and delivery of building fund bonds for the projected costs related to the Discovery Middle School project at approximately $14 million.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, now, is there any discussion? No discussion. Anne Marie, please call the roll.
Benson.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Goldenberg.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes, you're breaking up, so maybe I am, but yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Rodenbiker.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. On to business item 7C, EL 14, District Calendar Monitoring, Memo 101. I would entertain a motion for approval.
I move to approve EL 14 District Calendar Monitoring as presented.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? I know there were some items we have a few notes on here, actually quite a few. And those could, I suppose, go to governance for future conversation. Dr. Schatz, do you have some thoughts on that? You were looking at me, that's why I
Well,
asked.
that's not typically what you've done with those. If there's answers that are being sought out, that certainly the appropriate cabinet member can do that. Bob oversees this process, so if he would like to speak to anything, he would be the one to talk to, so.
Bob, if you would like to speak, go for it. Otherwise, we can get some information back from you at another point too, but feel free.
Certainly. I'd be glad to address some of these issues. Actually, the first one, as you look at number 2, as we talk about some of the activities at the elementary school, Dr. Agery and I have spoken about that one in particular, and she's going to share a little bit of information on that, and then I'll come back to the other points.
Thank you. So this was brought up last year as well, and we did a pretty extensive research and conversation with our building principals as well as our outside entities that support specifically pictures, school pictures, and vision screening. And so just as a refresher, for the schools that do the school pictures, PTAs work really closely with the schools to select which vendor they work with. And out of our 16 elementary sites, 15 use Shirling. So we had Patrick Shirling at a meeting. He is a great partner. He works with us to keep rates low and to really bring in ample people to support us. And we brought up the idea of having pictures taken during back to school night. And he just said a lot of reasons why he had concerns about that. and one being being at all those sites because we've collectively aligned back to school night to be the same evening for all of our sites, that he would have to have additional staff and additional equipment, and it would drive the price up. He's also heard from families that they like the staggered payment because as a parent, you likely know, you're writing checks all over the place those first days of school when you bring your child to back to school night. So having it delayed sometimes into September and October, parents were appreciative of the opportunity to maybe have that on a next payment scale. He talked about the fact that typically the way that we run it, kids miss 15 minutes of instruction. They can run a classroom of 25 kids through in 15 minutes. I have observed this in the schools. Teachers are pretty good to have kids bring along either some flashcards if they're practicing different things or reading books. But 15 minutes of instruction, the principals really felt like that was worth it considering Shirling's concerns. We have had life touch photography at one of our sites, but again, PTA really utilizes feedback and makes that decision of who they're working with. And the other one that we talked about was the vision screening, which is supported by the Lions Club. And that was a new process that they're using right now in advanced technology. We have 10 to 15% of our kids who are being provided additional services that are being identified because their parents either aren't taking them in or aren't utilizing the opportunity for vision screening. And so those kids are getting some type of support because they're being caught in the screening. The technology is about $8,000, and Lions Club supports that through fundraising, and they have one machine right now. They can screen about 500 kids in a day. Depending on, it's taking 30 to 35 minutes per class, and what our teachers are doing is utilizing either a paraprofessional, sometimes the principal, so half the class will go while they may do a small group with the other, and then they'll flip-flop. So total for those two screenings, they're missing 30 minutes for vision and 15 for school pictures. If we tried to bump that into back to school night, there's just a lot of barriers of financial, as well as the fact that on average, we have about 70% of our students K-5 that are present at back to school night. So even if we could make that happen, we'd have 30% of our students who we'd have to find time in our day for makeups and having them come back to all 16 sites. So if there are more ideas on the table that you would like us to explore, we would do that, but at this time we really felt like we had vetted that out. And Dr. Schatz did report that out in a board focus April 21st of last year when this same conversation occurred.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Gross?
So then just continuing through the report, as I look at some of the other questions, there was a question around were high school students part of the calendar committee as we built both the calendar we're in right now and the one that will be presented to you within the next month or so? The answer is yes. And in fact, in both cases, the high school students added tremendous value to the conversations. I think they were looked to about how will this impact you as a student and your peers. I know they all took it very seriously, went back and gathered additional feedback from other students within the building, and I think that was a great add that we did as we build our calendar committee. And we do plan to continue that into the future. Another question centered around, do we reach out to our neighbors at West Fargo and Moorhead when we look at our calendars? The answer is we certainly try. We typically are a little bit ahead of our neighbors when it comes to building the calendar, but we share them back and forth as soon as they are designed to see if we can do a better job of aligning some of our professional development days. So we'll continue to attempt that, but each one of our districts are on a different schedule when it comes to the development of the calendar, but we do a very nice job collaborating together. In that same set of questions came a comment about surveying and the idea of continuing that into the future. That is the hopes of the calendar committee. In fact, when we met this year, we talked about using the data that was gathered last year because it was a 2-year survey. But next year, when we get the calendar committee back together, starting even earlier to design those survey questions to make sure that we ask the right things of our parents, our students, and our staff, and that we get that out in a timely fashion so we can use the information as we build future calendars. Another piece talked about just more information around some educational best practice, if that is around year-round school, around block scheduling, and I think we would be very happy to share more information around those topics. that would be an extended presentation, and we could certainly do that or add that to the operational plan moving in the future. But teaching and learning could certainly provide that for you down the road. There was a question around how much time teachers are out of their classroom for professional development. As we look at that, what we did is we tried to look at last year to get kind of a sense of where we're at, and we went back to a piece of software that's called Frontline. That is our absence management system, where staff put in for professional development days when they need a substitute teacher. This does not include data if, for example, one teacher might cover for another for one period of the day. So the data may vary slightly, but as we looked at our frontline data, for 16-17, about 37% of our staff were involved in at least one day of professional development where they needed a substitute, and about 18% of our staff up to 2 days. So you can see that's a fairly large percentage of our staff, either 1 or 2 days of professional development. It really varies on the topics of those professional development opportunities, from anywhere from an adoption of a new set of curricular materials to help staff understand and know how to use them. But more recently, it's really focused in on the work of our collaborative course-alike teams as they are working on what's in the strategic plan to truly be a standards-based system. And on our strategic plan dashboard, when you go to that first goal and you look at standards-based education, you see all of the dials that are there that are all the different courses and classes within the system. And that's really tracking progress towards getting us to be a true standards-based system, developing what those essential learning outcomes are, developing the formative and summative assessments that will be used across the system, and then using those in our professional learning communities, where then we really get to some of the core questions of a professional learning community. What do we do if kids don't know this information, or what do we do if they've already learned it? And that, through all of that work, we are providing that data for our staff through PLCs. So as we look at where those professional development opportunities are taking place, much are in those two areas. And then finally, we looked more about survey results and wanting to continue that process. And like I stated earlier, the plan is definitely, the idea and the plan will be to continue that process, to start a little bit earlier, to get that survey out to all of the different groups, and then use that information as we move forward into the next planning process.
Well, it was very beneficial for you to be sharing that information tonight rather than us waiting. Otherwise, we would have been on pins and needles, just wondering answers to these questions. So does anyone have any other questions? Jennifer had a few comments on there, and so did I. My questions have been answered. Thank you. Jennifer, do you need any additional information? Or? They addressed them all. Okay. And then Dr. Gross, as you mentioned, the number 6 that is in regard to information regarding block scheduling, research behind a year-round calendar option, that was the comment there. If we could plan to have some additional information back on that item, as you mentioned, that would be great. All right. All right, if there is no other discussion, we will have the roll called, please, Anne Marie.
Boyd.
Yes.
Goldenberg.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Rodenbiker.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Benson.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes. Motion passes. All right, at this point, we are going to be, if there is a motion, I would like a motion to enter an executive session. We are, yes, I was going to mention and explain that. We are not going to be discussing the superintendent search and contract at this point. We need to do some work on that first, and we could, if we have some decisions made on that, we will provide an update. But as well as maybe the public doesn't all know that we have had someone accept our invitation to serve as our next superintendent, Mr. Gandhi. And so we are in the process of working on finalizing that contract. And so if there is a motion for executive session, we will have some of that conversation there.
I move that we go into executive session for the purpose of negotiation strategy for negotiations with the FEA and negotiations of a superintendent contract.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Anne Marie, please call the roll.
Yes.
Goldenberg. Johnson.
Yes.
Paulson.
Yes.
Rodenbacher.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Benson.
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes.
Knutson.
Yes. Motion passes. All right, we will enter into executive sessions, so we'll ask everyone else that isn't on the board to please leave the room, and we will take a 5-minute break while we get ready for that. It's 6:32 right now. Thank you. Okay, I'll call this the regular meeting of Tuesday, March 27th, Fargo Board of Education, back in session at 8:20 PM. And we are on 9 board reports, committee liaison and correspondence reports. Jim?
Nothing to report.
We're just going to go around this order. So Christie?
We had a governance meeting this morning, and that is it.
Dinah?
If you need me to tell you what I was doing last week, then we're all in big trouble. So I think that's the end of that.
David?
Yeah, I had hoped to get some visitations in last week, but that did not work. I've scheduled Lewis and Clark PTA on the 9th of April at 6 and South High at 7, and I hope between now and then I'll get to either South or Lewis and Clark for a visit. That's it.
All right, John?
Yeah, we met with the FEA for negotiations last Tuesday and had a nice kind of initial discussion of the detailed proposals. And the negotiations committee will meet on Tuesday to discuss that in more detail. And we'll be meeting with the FEA again next Thursday on the 5th. Thank you.
Anne Marie?
John, what time is your negotiations committee meeting?
I think right now we have 4:15 on our calendars. Yes, 4:15 here, please.
Okay, thank you. The report is in front of you, President's report. We have homework due. The first is due on April 5th. Some of us have been at the Building Bridges Conference at the Holiday Inn, the LSS conference. I was there in and out today. Dinah, I saw you there as well. And thanks to everyone for all the work last week. A lot of hours put in, but good true dedication, yes. And Anne Marie, cheers to Anne Marie, everyone within the district, really. So thank you very much. All right, anyone else have anything to add? Our next meeting is on April 10th, and we're adjourned at 8:22 PM. Thank you.